Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, viewers. You are with Adil Farooq at Legal Launch by Adil Farooq. And today's topic is kind of different topic, but still related to the real estate transactions. And that topic is related to the funding or mortgage, but not as a standard mortgage. This topic is about the private lending. And before we start, just to inform uh, and read my standard disclosure that this session is for information purposes only. If you have any specific question, please talk to your legal professional, or you can talk to us about your legal issue, and we will be happy to assist you as per your own circumstances. Do not take this session as legal advice in your circumstances. So to start with, private lending. What is this private lending means? This is very important to understand. So when there are, if you know that in Canada there are certain numbers of regular big banks, for example TD Bank, CIBC Bank, Scotia Bank, RBC Bank, and National Bank, and there are a couple of more banks which are standard banks, and if you are taking a mortgage through those banks, that is a standard mortgage. But if you are going away from those banks, then you sometimes you landed up with the B class lenders. The B class lender is also not kind of private mortgage, but B class lenders are sometimes home trust, FC, if the mortgage is coming through FC3 through different lenders, for example computer share, those are B class lenders. And if you will not qualify with the B class lenders for your financial needs, then most of your mortgage specialists refer you to the private lenders. So here we are talking today about those private lending. So I will discuss over here different aspect of this private lending. I will give you some kind of information that what you should look into your documents once you are signing a document for the private lending, and what are the consequences of if you default in your private lending in the long run. To start with, so there are many private lenders in the market, and once you talk to your mortgage broker, they can always hook you up with a private lender who can check your property, who can check your credit and your ability to pay their mortgage. They can offer you private lending. But the private lending is mostly private lending is usually go for the second on the second on the second position, or sometime on the third position. It's very rare that the private lending is having its on the first position, because it's very expensive. People try to avoid private lending on their first position. On the first position, usually your mortgage brokers advise you or help you to get a mortgage from the A class lender or B class lender. They avoid to go to the private lender unless they are very pressing circumstances that you have to go to the private lending. Yes, they take it for the first on the first position as well. When I say about the position, which means that on a property, whatever bank gave you a loan to buy that property, usually that mortgage goes on the very first position, means that lender have a first right if you guys default on them. And the second position is always goes on the different kind of lenders. If you are not qualified to get a mortgage from the A class lender or B class lender for on the second position, then your mortgage broker suggests you to go for the private lending. And the private lending may be any company, any individual, or any group of individuals who put their money together and do the private lending. So I will not go on those complications, but I will strictly restrict myself on the terms and the conditions of those private lending. Whenever you go for the private lending, your mortgage broker, whoever involved in this process, that person should advise you about the terms and conditions of a private lending, and they present you a commitment letter. I always suggest my clients, please carefully read that commitment letter, because I personally saw that many of my clients, when they came to me to sign the documents to complete the private lending process, they were surprised by the terms which they already signed in the commitment letter. For example, the first thing you should see that what rate of interest you are getting. Private lending is usually on a high end rate of interest, and you have to check that what is your annual rate of interest for this private lending. And the second thing you should see that what is the term of this lending. Is this for 6 months, for 1 year, for 2 years? That is also important for you, because you are the one who need to determine that when you will be able to pay back that mortgage, and that term will determine that what is the term, when the term of this mortgage will expire, and then you will be again in a position, you will be again in the same place that you will need funding, and you will be have a trouble to getting a private lending or renewal of this private lending. If you are not sure about that when you are eligible or when you will be able to pay this private lender back, I will always recommend my clients in the commitment letter keep an option that you will have a right to extend this mortgage for another term of 6 months or 1 year, whatever suits to you. Another very important point that usually my clients were surprised when the private lenders lawyer send us the details of the funds. They have a huge list of deductions. That is a problematic point, because at that time most of my clients say, oh, we were never told about those deductions, which deductions may be starting from the commitment fee, mortgage lender fee, brokerage fee, lawyer fee, and sometime I saw administration fee. So these are big numbers. Sometimes it goes to up to 2 to 3% of the total value of the mortgage. And the client was expecting a certain amount from their mortgage, but after having those deductions, they were surprised that the funds are not enough for their purpose. So in that case, I always suggest my viewers, whenever you go for a private lending, before you sign the commitment, you should have those amounts very clearly written in the commitment, that this will be the mortgage lending fee 1% or 2%, or this is a brokerage fee which is 1% or 2% or any specific amount, and what will be the charges of the lawyer. That should be always, I recommend to be there. You should remember that when you are going a private lending and the lending amount is more than $75,000, there should be two lawyers involved, one for the lender and one for the borrower, and you cannot go with one lawyer. So it means you will be paying legal fee for both lawyers. Means you are paying a legal fee for the lender's lawyer, and you are paying the legal fee for the borrower lawyer as well, and that may be a big amount of amounts you are paying in terms of the legal fee. So be ready for that. So and you should also know your monthly installment, and before you sign, check it out that what will be your monthly installment for this mortgage, and it's your call as a client to determine whether if you have resources to pay that monthly fee or not. If you have no resources to pay that monthly fee, then reconsider your position before you sign the commitment letter, because once you sign the commitment letter, many commitment letters mention in this in that document that once you sign the commitment letter, you are liable to pay the mortgage broker fee or the lender fee whether you proceed or not. If you sign the commitment letter and you came to us before you sign, you just change your mind, of course the lender will go after you to collect their fee which you signed in the commitment letter, and unfortunately you have to pay over legal fee as well, because we have already worked on your file. But at the very end, if you decided not to proceed, then I'm sorry, but you are at hook, and you will be liable to pay all those charges involved in this transaction. So that's few of the things you should watch before you sign the commitment letter for the private lending. So private lending is kind of this and once you sign this private lending and you sign the order documents, we will be registering a mortgage on your property as a regular mortgage. It's a very regular mortgage, and that mortgage is considered as a security on your property. And remember, this has the same consequences of default whatever the first lender has the consequences. If you have more than one mortgages on your property and any you defaulted on any of those mortgages, that lender can bring an action against you to collect his funds by taking a legal action against you. And at that time, and unfortunately, if you have no resources to pay, there's a possibility that you will lose your property and the lender will take over your property, and that lender has the right to sell your property and pay off the existing mortgage if there are any mortgage prior to them. They have to pay that mortgage, and then they have to collect their charges, and then they will, if there's anything left, they will pay it back to you, which is very unlikely that there will be anything left after payment of all those charges. So be very informative. Take educate yourself before you sign any private mortgage commitment, because once you sign the private mortgage commitment, it comes to us, and at that time, if you decided to decide not to proceed, I'm sorry, you will be at hook to pay different charges. So this was a very brief introduction of private lending. Yes, if you want, you can always ask your lawyer to review your private lending documents before you sign it, but sometimes the mortgage brokers don't like that, or sometimes the mortgage broker, you guys don't have much time to do that, but you have the right to review those documents with your lawyers if you want. Otherwise, yes, you are dealing with a professional mortgage broker. That mortgage broker should protect your interest as well, should inform you about each and every expense of that mortgage before you sign the commitment letter. Sometimes in the commitment letter, there's also a clause that you have to pay certain amount of money to the lender's lawyer even before they start the work. That is also very normal. That's happened because the lender lawyer has to pull up different searches and have to do some investigation of your property before they initiate the process, and they have to spend their money on that one. And if they pull up all the documents and they realize that there are some legal issues which they have to deal, which you have to deal before they proceed, your process can be stopped at that time. For example, if there are any writ of executions against your name, and the lender's lawyer pull up your writ of execution and notice that there is a writ of execution against your name, the private lender will not proceed until you pay off that writ of execution and clear it from the system. Only then they will proceed. Otherwise, all the efforts may be a useless effort, and you will lose your money, whatever you paid to the lender at that time. So let me see, guys, if I have any question. I believe few of my viewers have a couple of questions, and okay, one of my viewers is saying that who is the best private lender in Ontario? Okay, there's no such thing, best or very good or bad lending. It all depends on the terms of the lending. If the terms of the lending are suitable for you, of course, that lender is best for you. If the terms of the lendings are not suitable for you, so that means that lender is not for you. Okay, so private lender, do they pull up my credit score? Actually, yes. Most of the private lenders, they always pull up your credit score to see what is your credit score. If your credit score is below average, yes, they have a right to make a decision that they are not willing to give you mortgage. But that is the question you should ask your mortgage broker when you think about taking a private lending. So, is there any list of private lenders? No, there is no such comprehensive list, but if you Google it, you will see there are many private lenders in the market, and mostly those private lenders work through their agents or mortgage brokers. Sometimes you cannot connect them directly, you have to go through your mortgage brokers, and of course those mortgage brokers always charge a good amount of money to connect you with a private lender. So one of my viewers is asking about the interest rate on the private lending. Again, there is no hard and fast rule of the on the rate of interest. There are certain restrictions that in Ontario that private lending can go up to a number of percentage of interest, but that is very high interest. But usually, don't catch me for this thing. What I saw in the last few years, the private lenders are something between 8 to 15%. It goes from anything from 8 to 15%. per month. But remember, the interest rate is not the amount you are paying per month. If they are charging you I would say lender fee, 2% lender fee, if they are charging you 1% brokerage fee, if the both lawyers fee comes approximately 1 or 2% of the total amount, you have to count those things towards the amount you are paying. Because sometimes people don't understand when they are signing this commitment letter, and they consider that if they have an approved for, let's say, $200,000, oh, they will get the whole $200,000. No, that is not the case. From $200,000 they may get 180 or 185, something like that, because the rest of the money will be deducted as different costs to complete this process. I believe your viewers, you have some good information about the private lending, but if you have any question, if you have any concerns about those things, you can always reach us at adillaw.ca. You can call our office at 905-502-7474. Thank you for watching my blog, and I will be back next week same time with a new information session. And if you want me to have an information session on a specific topic, please send me an email or text inbox me, and I will try to do that. Don't forget to follow me or like me on different platforms, and so you will not miss those upcoming events whichever I am giving some information. And take care of yourself. See you next week. Bye bye.